I want to take it a step further, though, because Dolan did. So he joined the Michael Kay show to discuss what went down with Oakley, and he had some strong personal attacks on the former Knick.
We've said it before. We said at one time that, he's his own worst problem. He has a problem. People need to, sort of understand that. He has a problem with anger. He's both physically and verbally abusive. He may have a problem with alcohol. We don't know, right? But those behaviors, being physically and verbally abusive, are, those are personality problems.
I find it funny that he says he has a problem and then he has to look down at his list to see what those problems are. So Dolan said MSG staff reported Oakley appeared to be impaired. Stephen A., talk to me.
Well, Oakley categorically denies that. When I spoke to him 1:30 that morning, he certainly didn't seem that way, but that was hours removed from the incident. It was after he spent a few hours in the police precinct, so we don't know. I don't know definitively, and I'm not in a position to say that. The New York Knicks say he categorically denies it. What is undoubtedly so is that the New York Knicks could have handled this a hell of a lot better. When he was being followed in the past, you have some people from the Knicks organization who have told me, look, we were looking out for him. We want to make sure to keep him out of trouble. He doesn't do anything to embarrass himself or the organization. That's why you had folks around that were just looking out for him. They weren't following him per se. They were just looking out for him. Well, that's not how Oakley felt about it. Oakley felt he was being followed. Oakley felt he was being harassed. Oakley felt like, what is this man's problem with me? The one thing that I would say that raises my eyebrow in favor of James Dolan is this. Charles Oakley is a rough rider. We all know that. We all know about his temperament. We all know he ain't backing down from anybody, et cetera, et cetera. And he calls it like it is, or how he sees it, and he's very candid and unapologetic about it, and that is that. But when I hear him speaking about Dolan, I hear him saying, I want to shake the man's hand, I want to get into a room and talk to him, et cetera, et cetera. So he seems to be reaching out to Dolan and is put off by the fact that Dolan hasn't been as receptive as he would like. What I would say is that's the antithesis to what I know Oakley to be. He's not usually reaching out to anybody, to shake their hands or do anything like that. He doesn't have this need to be embraced by somebody who doesn't feel inclined to embrace him. So the fact that he seems to be that way when it comes to Dolan does raise my eyebrow and make me ask questions, which is why it's hard for me to take the utmost definitive stance on this. But in the end, I am dogged in my belief that the New York Knicks mishandled this situation. They embarrassed him. They spoke out of turn. They did not have to go to the lengths that they went through to impugn this man's reputation, character, integrity, or whatever the case may be, even more so than it already had been. They did not have to do that, and it was unfortunate that they chose to, which is why I agree with Spike Lee when he's so upset with them about it.
Look, I've been an outspoken critic of James Dolan because as a Knicks fan growing up, he's ruined the franchise over the last 17 years. But he's not all bad. As you said, Stephen A. Smith, he's shown real loyalty to people who've needed it, who are close to him and all those kind of things. So I don't mean to paint him as a completely bad person or anything like that. As most people do, he has redeeming qualities. That said, he has zero self-awareness. A billionaire who inherited billions, whose father built the business, which he inherited. He didn't earn that business. He didn't build himself up, pick himself up by his own bootstraps and do something good. He alienated millions of New Yorkers when he kept the Yes Network off of Long Island with Cablevision. That's like, well, I could list 100 different things that have ticked off the entire city towards James Dolan, a guy who was, as Ann Richards once said about George W. Bush, born on third base and thought he hit a triple, right? So that's James Dolan. And he's talking about somebody who is not the most talented guy in the world. Yes, he's tall, but there are guys Charles Oakley's height, lots of them in the world who never played in the NBA, who built himself up, though he was less talented than most, by working harder, by getting up earlier, by sacrificing his body more, by diving on the floor for every loose ball. And there's James Dolan, who's alienated the entire town, who inherited everything he's got, talking about a guy who's earned everything he's got, who did it with blood, sweat, and
Max.
tears, and saying that guy has a personality problem. I'm not saying it's necessarily untrue, though I don't know it to be true, but it's tone deaf in terms of self-awareness. Dolan seems completely unself-aware.
Hey, Max, I got something that's going to trump everything for you. Everything that you just said. You think you're sitting down now. You might fall out your chair with what I'm about to tell you. Did you see the Knicks video? I think it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. They show a video of the era of the Knicks. You know, the great era, the great moments, et cetera, et cetera. They got to the 2K era. Do you know that they showed Jeremy Lin, but there were no footage of Melo? None. None.
But they had
Melo,
Linsanity, Stephen A.
But you got Linsanity.
Yeah,
so Linsanity,
yeah.
who showed up for about a week, usurps Carmelo Anthony, who's averaging 25 a game, who's been there with you for years, okay? Who, by the way, just a few years ago when Mike Woodson was the coach, took you to an Atlantic Division crown and an Eastern Conference semifinal berth for the first time in 13 years, okay? Which, by the way, is the only playoff series the New York Knicks have won since Dolan has taken over. Melo. But you show Linsanity.
What are you doing, Stephen A? You're riling me up now.
It's unbelievable. It's
You're
unbelievable.
riling me up
But that's what
now.
happened. But that's what happened. That's what he did.
It's beyond obnoxious. The fans know what the organization's doing, what a corporation's doing when they're trying to crush somebody, when they want to send someone out of town or they want to send a message. It's beyond outrageous, and Dolan should know. If, in fact, Oakley has reached out because he wants to shake the man's hand, that has nothing to do with the character of the man or his accomplishments. It's simply because he's the owner of the team. He inherited it all. He didn't earn it. He didn't get it for himself. He was given it to him by his father. And so Oakley has to deal with that reality. Everyone has to deal with that reality, that he's the boss because he inherited the business. But he should not be under any delusion that people want to get in a room and shake his hand and look at him eye to eye because of some strength of his character or some great things that he's done. Simply, he inherited the team, so they got to deal with him.
The Linsanity thing, though, Stephen A., I saw that. It was so flagrant. And props to Melo. I don't know how he continues to stay above it and be the better man. But we will leave it there.